Hey guys, welcome back. In the last lecture, we worked on display loading a spinner into the React. Now, in this lecture, we will be working on creating a form in React. We then use this form to save the submitted data into the Rails model using a post API. But we will do that in next lecture. And in this lecture, we will only focus on building the form. Okay. So first, go to the Bootstrap 5 site. So open the new tab, and here you can click Bootstrap 5. Okay, and after visiting the Bootstrap 5 you need to go to the components. Okay, and from the components just open the model component. Okay, we are using this model component because we will create this form into the Bootstrap model. Okay, so first scroll the page below. Okay, and here you can see this live demo section and the launch demo model. Okay, so just copy this button. Okay, not click on this copy button, or do not copy the entire code. Okay, or sorry, entire this code. Okay, just copy this button. Okay, and paste it into the question list component. Okay, so just copy this and switch to the project directory, and into the question list component, paste it below the filter question by text and above the select tag. Okay, so just correct the indentation here and make sure to change the class by class name. Okay, and add some margin from top and bottom. So MT3 and MB3. Okay, save this and let's click on the word ref first. Okay, and now change this button title as well, or button label as well. So we can provide button label, let's say create question, or create your question, or better contribute your question. Okay, contribute your question. Okay, save this and now refresh the browser. Okay, so come to the browser where your app is running and refresh the page. Okay, and here you will see this contribute your question button. Okay, now when we click on this button, we need to open a Bootstrap model. Okay, so to open the Bootstrap model, first create a new component inside the React and name that component as new question.jsx. New question.jsx. Okay, and now we need to implement this component. Okay, so to implement this component, first come to the question list and copy some import commands. Okay, so paste this into new question.jsx, and here we need to define our new question component now. So const new question, and then paste it, save it, and here export the new question component. So export default and then new question. Okay, save it. Now, before implementing the form, let's open the question.rb model, and here you can see that we have two attributes in the question model, and that is title and tag, and we have validation on both title and tag attribute. Okay, so here what we need to do before implementing the form, we need to define the questions tag list here. Okay, because we need to provide the tag while submitting a question, as we already have validation into the question model for this attribute. Okay, so let's copy the same question tags array from the question list component and remove the all option from it. Okay, so come to the question list component and just copy this question list questions tag constant. Okay, and just paste this into the new question.jsx and remove all option from here because we don't need this all option now. Okay, and here you can change the indexing of each element or value of each element. So 1 2, this one should be 3, and this should be 4. If you wish, you can add few more components or few more objects into this. So let's say add one more, that is remove this comma, add the value as 5, and remove the JavaScript by data structure. Data structure, save this. Okay, now let's provide the model body first into the return statement. Okay, so we need to implement the return statement into our new question component, and there we will provide the model body to be rendered on the page. Okay, so just implement the return statement. Okay, and inside this return statement we need to copy this model body. Okay, or this model code. Okay, so just copy this and paste into the return statement and correct the indentation first. Okay, and also make sure to replace all classes by class names. Okay, so just select all classes and replace it by class name. Okay, and now what we need to do is the next thing, that we exported our new question component at the bottom. So now import this new question component into the question list.jsx. Okay, so just copy this new question text, new question name, and into the question list component, import it here, and from new question. Okay, save it, and you can see that we defined this. And now what we need to do, we need to refresh the browser, and we need to see that whether our bootstrap model is opening or not. Okay, so just refresh the page and click on the contributor question model. Okay, you can see that it is not opening. So let's see what happens. So inspect the page, there might be some error. Okay, so we can see two errors here. Okay, so cannot read properties of undefined. Why? Because we just imported the new question component, but we did not render it. Okay, so let's render it. Okay, so come to the return statement of question list component, and here render the question new question component. Save this, and now refresh the browser. Okay, now this should open. Okay, so refresh it and click on the contributor question. Okay, so you can see that bootstrap model is opening right now. Okay, but we still see some warning, that is invalid dom property tab index. Okay, so tab index is added by the bootstrap and it is supported by the html only, not supported by the rails. Okay, so we need to replace tab index with I capital. Okay, so just copy this and replace it via tab index into the new question.jsx. Okay, so just copy and paste here. Now refresh the browser, you will say that this warning is not appear anymore. Okay, so this warning is gone, and now if you click on the contribute your question, you will see that it is showing the valid bootstrap model. Okay, now close this and make some changes here. Okay, so first make it model LG, model LG, and make the wraps, make the words wraps. Okay, and now we need to change this model title. Okay, so we can provide some meaningful title here. Let's say write your question and help the world to grow. Write your question and help the world to grow. Okay, just provide your question and help the world to grow. Okay, save this. Okay, and now we need to implement our form inside the bootstrap model. But before implementing the form, we need to be careful about few things, that react forms are a bit different from the HTML, plain HTML forms. Okay, because in React you need to manage the state of input fields every time when it changed. So we need to associate the on change event with all input fields we have in our form, and also a submit handler for the form. Okay, so let's start implementing the form in bootstrap model. Okay, so here define your form first. Okay, so form, and then close this form. Okay, and now first replace both model body and model footer inside this form. Okay, because we will use this inside the form. Now in this model body, first implement your input field for the question title. Okay, so what we can do here, div class name, and then class name must be form group. Okay, and then close this div. And inside this div, what we need to do, we need to provide a label class first. So label, and then label, and just provide a class to this label. So class name is form label, and then mp3 mb3. Okay, and name it as title. Okay, and now we need to define our input field here. Okay, so let's define the input field. So input, and then type text. Okay, and then add the class name to this, and class name must be form control, and form control lg, and then rounded 0, and save this. Now let's see whether this input field is showing or not. Okay, because there is something that you need to notice while defining input fields. Okay, so if you click on this contributor question button, you can see that a bootstrap model is opening. You can see the title label, but you are not seeing the input field here. Why? Because there is a reason that React consider every tag to be closed, no matter whether it is the HTML tag or whether it is the custom React component tag, okay, or component name. Okay, so and we know that in HTML input tag is do not have any closing tag. Okay, so we need to close this manually. So add this slash. Okay, and now if you refresh the browser, you will see this input tag on the inside the Bootstrap model. Okay, so now we can see that this input field is showing into the browser. Okay, now, as the next input field, what we need to do, we need to define a select box. Okay, so and we will iterate this question tag so that user can see all the tags to submit with along with the question. Okay, or user can mention the tag of the question. Okay, so now let's define the form group class again here. Okay, and one more label to this form group, and this label should be select the question title. Select the tag question tag. Select the question tag. Save it. And now we need to define our select box. Okay, so let's do select and then class name needs to be form select and then form select LG and then rounded 0. Okay, and now close the select. Okay, and into this select, what we need to do as the next thing that we need to iterate our question tag object. Okay, so just iterate that because we need to define the options here. Okay, so question tags dot map, okay, and then provide the tag and then iterate through this. And here we need to define our option tag. Okay, so option, then first add the key name to this element, and that key must be question dot value because it is unique. So the JSX syntax take dot value, and then value will be again take dot value. Okay, and then close this option tag and just provide the label to every option. So label will be tag dot label. Okay, save this. Okay, and now refresh the browser. So when you refresh the browser, now you will see two different attributes, title and tag. So click on the contribute your question, and here you will see title and tag. Okay, so when you click on the react, and you can provide some title here. Okay, now when you click on save changes or close, the model will disappear. But what we need to do here, we need to first to make any of these button to submit. Okay, so let's add this to submit, and what we can add here, let's say save changes to submit question and save this now. Now, as I discussed initially, that we need to provide on change handler to every input attribute in our form. Okay, or every input field in our form. So let's define the states for title and tag here. Okay, so what we can do here, so after this question tag constant, let's define our state constants for this form. So const we can use, let's say title, and then set title. Okay, and initial value for title will be an empty string. Okay, so youth state and then empty string. Okay, and now const, then we need to add state for tag and then set tag. Okay, and then here you can use use state. Okay, and into this use state, what we can do, question text dot zero dot value. Okay, so by default we will show the value of the first element into the question tag list or array. Okay, so question tags zero dot value. Okay, and now we need to define the handler functions for to update the states on change. Okay, so first what we can do here, so we need to update our input attributes. Okay, so come to the input attributes for the title, and here what we can do, let's add an on change event here, sorry here. value, and first provide the value that should be title. Okay, and then the handler here, and that is, and then handler name. Okay, so we can provide handler name as handle title change. Handle title change. Okay, and then pass event to this method. Okay, so let's add event here. Okay, and also provide a name to this, so you can provide name as, say, title. Save this. Now implement this handle change button or handle change event handler. Okay, so const, and then accept the event here. And now once this event has been accepted, what we need to do, we need to update the value of our title. So we can call set title, and here what we can do, event dot target dot value, event dot target dot value. Okay, and similarly another function we can define as handle tag change. Okay, so handle tag change, and here replace the title by tag. Okay, and here also set tag. Okay, save this. And now you need to provide the on change event here as well. So value, first add the value, that will be the tag initial value, so we can provide tag here. And now we need to add on change here, and on change will be what our value name is, so handle tag change. Okay, so let's provide the handle tag change here. Let's use event handle tag change, and then pass the attribute event. Okay, and save this, sorry, and provide also a name to it, so and its name must be tag. Okay, I'm adding the name attribute here because when we submit the form, okay, the this will take that this field will represent this params inside the response. Let's say if it is title, then it will represent the title attribute, and if it is tag, then it will represent the tag attribute. Okay, now save the form and replace the browser. Okay, sorry, refresh the browser. So just when you refresh the browser, you will open the Bootstrap model, and here you can see that it is working fine and no error here. Now what we need to do, we need to implement a submit handler for this form. Okay, so where we can add the submit handler, so we need to handle this submit handler into the form tag. Okay, so just define the form tag here, and what we can do here, on submit, and then just provide the handler name. So we can use handle submit or handle question submit, that will be more meaningful. Handle question submit. Okay, and now what we need to do, we need to define this constant, or we need to define this handler into our component. So after the handle tag change, define this const, and then implement it. Okay, and it is also require an event attribute. Okay, so what we can do here, we just need to disable the default behavior of form. Okay, because if you submit this now, and you will, sorry, if you save this now and click to the refresh the browser. Okay, so refresh the browser and click on the form. Here you will submit it. When you submit this, click on the submit question. Okay, you will see that this is submitting the form as a get request. Okay, but what we need to do, we need to avoid this. Okay, so we need to prevent this event. So what we can use here, event dot prevent default, because just to avoid the default behavior of the form submission. Okay, and save this. And now we can use console.log. Okay, then just use the data that we are getting, we will display. Okay, and here we can use title as the title. Okay, and tag as the tag. Save this. And now let's submit our form with a valid title and tag value. Okay, so refresh the browser again, and click on the contribute your question. Let's see, what do you mean by a tag question. and provide the take, let's say, data structure here. And when you click on the submit question button, you will see that we are getting this params, or we are getting this JSON object into the console tab. Okay, and here we are getting no warning, no errors, and everything seems to be working fine. Now we can directly send this data to the post API as a JSON body or as a request body, and then we can implement the action into the Rails controller to save this data into the database. But still we need to correct something here in terms of practice, because whatever we did, it's just working fine. But if it is not good, if your form has long enough list of attributes, let's say if your form has 10 to 15 attributes or more than that, then the way we are handling the attributes of the form is not a good practice. Okay, because you have to implement handle for every attribute that time. Okay, and you must avoid that if your form is long enough. Okay, here in our case, it is fine because we have only two attributes. But let's see another practice that we can make here. Okay, so just use a single state and single handler method to update the state of the form. Okay, so what we can do here, just comment out this. We just need to use the single state here. Okay, and what we can use as a single state, so we will use const and then add input field here, or form field, let's say form field, and then set form fields, set form field. Okay, and then use state. We can also use state as a to update the array of values as well. Okay, so we will provide an object to use state now. Okay, so title should be blank initially, and then we will use this value for the tag. Okay, so just use that. Okay, sorry, just use that, and tag value. Now we need to add another function or another method to update the form field state, or to update the input field states into the form. Okay, so what we can provide here, we can write a single function that is, let's say, const, and handle questions, sorry, not handle question submit. We need to provide another thing that is handle form fields. Okay, and then we again need to provide event attribute to here, because we gonna use the event dot target dot value. Okay, so let's do that here. Okay, and here we need to make some changes. So first, change this. So what we need to do, handle form fields and replace in both text field and the select field. So we will use handle form fields and then also handle form fields here. Okay, and now what we will use here, so you can see that what we are using, set form field. Okay, so just to copy this name, we will use the set form field to update the state of the form. So sorry, set form field, and then we will use the spread operator here. Okay, because it will allow you to get the original value, actual value of original array. Okay, so we will use the spread operator here, and then form field. Okay, and here whatever the field you want to change, you can mention here. Okay, so we can add, let's say, event dot target dot name, and then set the value of it. So event dot target dot value. We saved this, and now just make one change, that first copy this handle form fields, and here you can see that we updated the on change event into both select and text. Now you can see we are still accessing the value of title and text, so we need to update this value from title and tag. Okay, and what we need to do here, form fields dot title, because now we have this let me sorry, now we have the tag title and tag into the form field state. Okay, so what we need to do, form field dot title in place of value title. So form field dot title, and here form field dot tag, sorry, here form field dot tag. Okay, save this, and now refresh your browser. So when you refresh your browser now, just refresh this and click on the contribute your question. Sorry, we need to do one more change, and that is console.logout. Okay, what we need to provide here now, form field. Okay, because when your forms attributes change, your form field state is also changed. Okay, so we need to update here console.log form field. Okay, and now refresh the browser again. Okay, else you will get error. So click on the contributor question here, and you can provide, let's say, it's not accessing any data. Let me see what happened. So the error is because I just made a typo mistake here. That is that it should be event.target.name. Okay. Now refresh the browser again and click on the contribute to your question. Okay. When you click on it, you will see that it is working now. Okay. So what is Ruby? Okay, and now click on the submit question button. When you click on submit, you will see that title, what is Ruby, and tag is 0. Okay, so our form is working now and we implement this in a better way. Okay, so I just keep this method as commented. If you wish, you can do this thing as well, but I would recommend this way, because if you have multiple or so many fields into the form, then this approach will be much better, because you have to implement only one handler for managing all the input state or all the form field states. Okay, now you can see that we are setting the value like 0 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so what we need to change here, because we don't want to store 0 1 2 3 as the tags. Okay, so we just need to values as the actual label. Okay, so it should be Ruby, and here it should be, let's say, Rails. Okay, and here it should be, let's say, React. Okay, and here it should be Bootstrap. Okay, and here it should be JavaScript. Okay, and here it should be data structure. Save this, and now just inspect the element. Okay, so inspect this select box, and here you can see that into this select, what we have now, values 0 1 2 3 4 5. But if you refresh the page and open the form again, just click on it, and now you will see that values are Ruby, Rails, React, JavaScript, and data structure. So it will be saved into the database as it is. Okay, so now if you click on the submit question, you will again see that title is blank and tag is Ruby. Okay, so let's add this. You can see that is the object we need to pass as a request body into the API call. Okay, so this is what we have to implement in this lecture. Okay, our form is now error free and working fine. Okay, so just go through this lecture and try to practice this at your end as well, and we will meet into the next lecture where we will submit this form and save the question into the database. Okay, so thanks for watching this, and let's meet into the next lecture. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, and stay safe.